I am Tara Bassett. You are with Take It from Tara on this glorious Monday afternoon where liquid sunshine is falling all over Kentuckiana. Temperatures have raised a little bit up, you know, so we're not going to complain about the cold, just the wet. It's kind of like a typical day in Ireland, so don't complain. Ireland's the most beautiful place in the world. So I have a really, really special show lined up for you. You can see because the beverages have arrived with Mr. Paul Toole of Ballatin.
Raising your spirits.
Raising the spirits of all those who imbibe, and I'm sure that these people will, the one who's behind the camera most certainly, because she is an expert at Ballatin. She knows as much about Ballatin as you do.
She does.
Which is, So, and I actually have a little Gene Rayburn microphone for you here, Caroline, so if you want to pop in at any time, you feel free. Okay.
Awesome.
I don't like to miss hearing things that you say. Yeah, because you're very important. When Caroline talks, we all listen.
Absolutely.
Right? Robbie Bartlett needs no introduction, so I just won't even bother. We'll just skip on over her to Paul Sant. I call you Louisville's songbird. How about that?
You're sweet.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. And she's a huge animal lover, which I love about her more than anything. Paul Sant is the executive chef at the Omni.
At Bob's. At the Omni.
At Bob's at the Omni.
Yep.
Why not just take the whole hotel?
Yeah, someone else has got.
How many options do we have?
Just the one right now.
Well, there you go. So he's the executive chef at the Omni. As I was saying, Gary Fox, of course, in charge of Apron, which is we call it the organization that helps servers who are in the weeds. Definitely a big help, and you guys have been doing good for a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
my
really.
pleasure.
Give him a clap, chef.
So happy.
And then behind the come on up here for a second. Just show your smiling little face. There's Caroline. Yeah, there she is, Caroline Knopp. Simply PR, simply the most extraordinary PR representative in Louisville. We appreciate you.
Oh boy.
Simply. So anyway, we are here at this beautiful Olmsted. One of the most gorgeous venues. You sing here all the time. You're here for events all the time. You're probably serving ballots in here all the time.
Yeah, we love
and I'm
being
sure
here.
that the other two folks have been here as well. So what I would like to do, just basically to start it off, is talk about the person that we are all here to honor. And I'm going to just let you start. Give me that eagle eye. Give me that stank eye, Robbie Bartlett. Deano, as he is known to all of us who knew and cared and loved his food and loved him. Dean Corbett, there's going to be an event called the Tribute to Corbett's, right? The total titles. Taste of Corbett's. Taste of Corbett's. Thank you. This is a tribute to Corbett's, and that will be the Taste of Corbett's. So just reflect on him for a minute. Hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah, every time I saw him, his big smile come up, grab me, hug me, you know, and when he looked you in the eye, he says, "How are you?" He meant that, you know, he meant it. And we talked for a bit, and then, of course, he would trace off someone else he's hugging all around, and he wanted me to work at his restaurant, one of his restaurants. And he made me feel very welcome, very welcome. I'm like, "Do you need anything from me?" You know, first day there, I'm like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" Had never walked in the restaurant.
Wow.
And he said, "Do what you do."
There you go.
I said, "Okay."
That's all it took.
And I relaxed finally.
Yeah, that homey kind of feeling. You always felt like you were walking into somebody's, own kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, after that, everything was good, and he was happy with it. So.
And he loved you. God, he loved your voice. He talked about you all the time. Yep, see?
And he always wanted to sing with me.
I was going to ask if he sang.
How successful was that?
Whatever
Don't
Deano
say
wanted.
anything. Exactly.
Whatever Deano wanted, Deano got.
I love it. Chef, you've had quite an experience working with the man for a number of years and learned a lot from him, as I know he learned from you. So talk to me about your, just reflect a little bit on your experience with Chef Corbett.
Now, just super respectful of the kitchen associates. Was willing to do anything for any person that worked directly for him, and even if they didn't work for him, he was just a gentleman. He really was. I mean, from lending $1 out of his own pocket to making sure that they were doing the task the way it should have been done. I mean, and he would trust us with his name at Corbett's. I mean, and he'd be at Equus tonight, and we'd be at Corbett's this evening, and obviously we'd both be busy, and he couldn't be in two places at once. So he would trust us with his name.
Right.
And that was a big deal. I mean,
Yes.
to be able to give that much respect or trust to a bunch of cooks that, you know, hopefully did the right thing for him. It was pretty cool that he was so understanding, so generous, so genuinely generous with his name and his kitchen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
He was
Paul.
amazing. Yeah, so I feel like I probably knew Dean the least. I mean, going back a few years, I got to know him, you know, a little better the last.
Yeah, but if you knew him
last
for
couple
5
years.
minutes, then
Well,
you knew
that's
him,
true.
right?
That's true. But he always had a great generous spirit. So we sort of knew Dean, Lisa, and I, my wife, just as customers of the restaurant, you know, and then I do remember the first time that I had a thing with Ballatin that I wanted to have sort of a private room. We had some folks coming in and look at the brand and all this stuff. So they had that great back room at Equus, and
Yes.
I sought Dean out and said, hey, we, you know, like to come, you know, use your back room. I mean, it was, you know, it was like you say, Robbie, it was, you know, he didn't know me from hole in the head at that point. And he's like, yeah, come on in, we'll do this. We'll set you up some appetizers. But the first, the sort of humanity that Dean always expressed, Lisa and I were coming to just sit at the bar Jack's, and this has been a couple years ago. Might have even been pre-Ballatin. And, you know, we knew Dean enough just to say hello, like everybody does, kind of a celebrity in town.
Sure.
And so we pull in, you know, Equus and Jack's there on sort of the Lulu side, and he is helping an elderly lady into her car, and then he's folding up the wheelchair and, you know, putting it in the trunk. And so we just noticed that. We sat at the bar, and he came in a few minutes later and said, hey, Dean, how you doing? Was that your folks, or, you know?
No,
Oh,
just a
no,
customer.
that was just Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You know,
Yeah.
they come on Wednesdays, and I was just helping
so
them get
like
back.
it.
I know, right? And Lisa and I were just, now that is the best, you know, that is the best. So that really, you know, touched us in that moment. You know, a lot of us are going through that where, you know, we have kids on one end and
Parents on the
aging
other.
parents on the other. So that was really, really special. And then he did, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about it further, but he's done some stuff since then, you know, with Ballatin and everything, just very generously, and, you know, just the way he does things, you know.
And for those of you who have been living in a cave and are wondering why we were referring to this gentleman in the past tense, it's because he left us this last year, much to our chagrin and heartbreak. And Gary, you had a long and illustrious friendship with Dean Corbett. So talk to us a little bit about his life and his passing.
Well, I wish it had been longer. It was 11 years that I knew him. I was working at a restaurant near Corbett's out in the East End, and he kept coming in as they were building Corbett's, and I got to know him. And the minute the restaurant closed, he asked me to come work for him.
Isn't that interesting?
And I thought, well, all right, because I really didn't know him
Okay.
well, and I had just moved to Louisville, and he just embraced me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he made the first day he took me around to every single person in the restaurant. And it's sort of like a country club anyway, Equus is.
Yes.
And introduced me to every single person and
There's
told
that
me who they
personal-
were and what they did.
Personal touch, yeah.
You know, and over the years we just became great friends. I got to travel around the country with him to different food festivals and things, and I got to watch what he does for Louisville, or did for Louisville, you know, which wasn't only feeding them and being pleasant to them at the restaurant,
Right.
it was doing the great work for all of the charities.
Right.
I know a few years ago he got the Man of the Year, Person of the Year award from Catholic Charities, just for everything he does. He raised millions for Bourbon and Bow Ties and Norton's Children's Hospital, and for Gilda's Club, and for March of Dimes.
Yeah, he never said
and
no.
for Salvation Army, and he was certainly part of the beginning of Apron. He wrote us our first incorporation check,
Wow.
our corporation check.
That's
when
amazing.
we had no money. So his heart was just it was just bigger than anybody's I've ever met, except maybe my father.
That's a great comparison, you know?
But-
I mean, when you admire someone that much, to compare him to your dad,
I
pretty good.
told my father was in the restaurant business also, and I told him, you're the only person I know that reminds me of my father, that does what my father did, who puts the people first, not the company first.
Right.
Because you know the company will flourish if you take care of the people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my highest compliment too. Somebody reminds me of my parents there in Mike Flynn.
Exactly.
Gary mentioned bourbon and bow ties, chef, and you and I were talking before the show about wanting to make sure that we got something about bourbon and bow ties on. So go ahead and just talk to us a little bit about it.
This is year 10. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than this for us. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Big
And,
anniversary.
yeah, it is. It's a big anniversary, and you know what started off with a handful of chefs, and I believe last year we had. I mean, the group photo was so big. I think it was a wide lens shot versus just on a doorstep. But it was huge. And it's funny because last year's picture, Deano was to my far left, and I was standing next to the new chef from the Army at the time. And just as the picture was about to get taken, this arm reaches through the crowd, pulls me over, and there's a silly smile on my face, and I don't know if I'm off center, but Deano was a superstar. But yeah, he's bourbon and bow ties will definitely go on this year, and I'm going to scurry around the room at this event coming up and give my phone number and business card and make sure that we invite all the chefs from this event to be part of bourbon and bow ties. I mean, it's a huge deal. It really is.
Yeah.
And we've got some Travis is with us from Louisville, and we've got Anne from the hospital. So we've got a couple of people that are already on board, pushing it forward. So looking forward to keep on going with it. Yeah.
What time of year is the bourbon and bow ties?
June.
Okay, so this Taste of Corbett's is coming up in 2 weekends.
Yes.
Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, right?
Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday. I'm sorry, that's right. That was the one that was in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
What an odd time.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Hump day.
It's also the day after his birthday.
Yes.
Makes perfect
yeah.
sense. Well, and everybody's so busy on the weekends right now, so this is a great opportunity to reach into the middle. Yeah. Isn't that a problem to have too many events?
Right.
You must be exhausted, sir.
It's busy, but I mean, no more than anybody else. You know, I don't like it when somebody says, "Yeah, boy, it's real busy. I'll see if I can squeeze you in." You know, we're all busy.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's busy, right?
You know what they say, when you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Exactly.
Right.
They usually say, "Give it to the busiest
Give it to the
lady
busiest
you see." Woman. That's really how
I
stuff
think
gets
Caroline
done.
would fit into that. You know, you get stuff done.
That's how things get done. But I did want to sort of Gary and Paul both touched on this. Just I think Dean was obviously a great chef, but just he had hospitality in his DNA. And I think anybody, anybody that's in the front of the house or the back of the house, if they don't have a deep-seated desire to provide warm hospitality, then you're not going to make it in the restaurant business. That's at the core of it. That's what we do. And at Dean's core, that's what he did better than any. I don't know that Dean was the best chef in town, but he was a guy that lived the hospitality ethos. If you weren't comfortable in his house, then he was very uncomfortable about it. So, I mean, I think to me, that's what made Dean so spectacular. He was a great chef and all that, but you were going to be comfortable in his house.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. So, Caroline, you look fabulous. I wish that you were on camera with us.
Me? Oh,
you.
Great. Background.
Hi there. Well, if you want to pop in here, I'd love to hear your story of how you knew Dean too.
Oh,
Come behind me here. Come behind me here. Let me
I
just give you this.
knew Dean, but I got to really know Dean via Ellen. When Ellen got sick.
Yeah.
So Dean and I became really close. The camaraderie in the hospital. What's that nurse doing? What are they not doing? Caroline, you call me. If okay, let's go have a drink. Okay. So it was really a special friendship what I got to watch with Ellen and Dean, as Gary knows. And Paul as well, because Ellen's one of my best friends.
Yes.
And I just love that he was so good to her. He was so good to her. And I valued that every day. So I knew I was going to be good to him because he loved her so much. So I loved him.
That's awesome.
And I just think he was a great man, and leaving 3 sons behind. And, and they're so young. And the wife, I just, this is a really great event. Yeah. It's really special, and he was a special man. And it just happened poof, like that. Yeah. So it's,
shocking.
We all got to just keep on loving who we're with and who we know. And I don't want to be preachy or anything, but, it it's hard sometimes. You know,
you had a near-death experience of your own not too long ago.
Well, you know, that was kind of scary, but I'm okay. I'm good.
And that's
I'm
why
good.
you're so good at loving the person that you're with.
Yeah, and then I had Ellen there, you know. So anyway, so that Dean and I became really close over the last 3.5 years via Ellen Gill McCarty.
I love that.
So that was my story.
That. Good
and then he did
story.
a couple dinners with ballads.
We
and
did.
Nessa.
I want to hear a little Buffalo Springfield next time. Happy Hour gets together and sings.
Yeah.
Love the one you're
There you
with.
go.
Oh yeah.
Sing it,
okay.
Caroline.
Love the one you're with.
Yeah, there we go. She's got it. The singing wench saves the day once again. So did you want to mix some of that for these three thirsty people and maybe Caroline and our
So
friend
you-
who's sitting over here?
Yeah.
Hey, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Nice to
She
see you.
is the busy woman that makes everything happen that I was
She's the
referring
one that you have to
right?
ask for. So
Yeah.
while you're mixing
this
that,
is going to be noisy.
you go ahead. I'm going to say hi to some folks who are watching. Ellen Elizabeth Jones is watching. She says Bob's is delicious.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Adriana Blair, Russ Lemons is watching. Warren Nash, Tracy Sprouse. Ellen loves the work Apron does.
Thank you.
Looking great, Caroline. Glenda Adkins, who is one of our great homeless outreach advocates in town. Tracy Sprouse says love Deano. David Lang, Chaz Rowe, Tina Powell, Marsha Moss, Sarah Gray, Larry Schweitzer. Glad to have all of you guys tuned in with us. You guys know some of these names, I'm sure, because they've worked in, Tina Powell has worked in the restaurant industry for a long time. Judy Warren, hey, glad that you're tuned in today. Kip Wilson, David and Janet Hedrick, Roy Mullins, Mickey Price. Keep on coming. You guys can share this live cast as we are doing it, and that will help to bring more people on board so that they can see this wonderful story, because we're talking about what's coming up soon. Today's the tribute to Deano, but coming up on Wednesday next, not this coming, but the next week, is Taste of Corbett's, which will be a really cool honor to be a part of. So take it away.
Take a
Mr.
breath. I'm
Mr.
just going to
Toole.
shake this a little
You
bit.
shake it up, baby.
So these are kind of Valentine themed recipe. You know, love is in the air. You know, Chef Dean,
Love
all
the one
about
you're
that.
with.
Love the one you're with,
Yeah.
right? So, and Valentine's Day coming right up. My Valentine's right over there.
Aw, that's so nice.
So this
I love
first
that.
one is called. Don't y'all. It won't work. So don't y'all just give me a bunch of kudos. It won't work. So this is called a French kiss, right? So it's a little bit of the original chocolate, a little bit of our friend from Copper and Kings, this Distillare Orange,
Love that.
and a little bit of bitters. I got to shake. This is
Shake
not
it.
radio friendly, but we're gonna do this anyway.
I think it sounds pretty cool. Shake your booty. Shake your booty. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I went back to the
Pass-
70s.
We're trying to compete with Robbie and Caroline. This is not working
I know,
out
that's
so
a-
well
that's
for
a
the rest
tough-
of us. I'm
that's a tough
telling you.
pull.
He's got me beat.
Oh my God, Killing Me
Caroline,
Softly
Lisa, y'all wanna
is
try?
Robbie's, absolute signature
give a little
song.
bit to
I
Car-
love
so
that.
this is the
Okay,
French
there you go,
kiss,
Caroline.
right?
All right, so this is called French Kiss,
Yeah.
and what are you
So
putting in it?
So it's got the original chocolate, a little bit of this orange Distillare, which is a Copper and Kings, like an orange Cointreau kind
Yeah.
of a liqueur,
Yeah.
and then a little bit of bitters. So just you would serve this up almost like a twist on a martini,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
All right,
What
you
are we
guys
thinking? We
you
ready?
guys gonna do a taste of Deano?
Yeah,
To
to
Little
Deano.
tribute.
Great
Here
idea.
you go. Cheers. Can't wait to hear the response.
It's not a Bud Light, but he'd approve of this.
He would approve.
He'd have been okay with it.
He loved Bud
It's
Light.
not
What
Bud
was with
Light,
that?
but yeah.
What was with
I don't
that?
know,
What
just-
was the origin of the Bud Light?
That's all he drank?
Oh my goodness. We drink.
Except he would, at the end of the night, we would go around and pick up half Bud Light bottles all over the restaurant.
Because he'd open it, take a sip, and put it down.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I was saying earlier before you
Everybody
got
thought
here,
he was having a drink with just them.
Exactly.
It was one
That's it.
swallow.
That's it.
Throw it down.
But I was saying before you got here that I thought the perfect drink as a tribute to Dean would be a Ballatin Boilermaker.
Oh, exactly.
You know, Ballatin
Right.
would just
Yeah,
drop into
it
the
right
Bud
into the Bud
Light.
Light. I mean, and that's kind of Dean. I mean, you know, he's got the bar. You know, he could have been drinking Pappy 23 if he wanted to, but
Exactly.
you know, he's just
Bud Light.
drinking his Bud
Exactly.
Light.
There we go.
Yeah.
The only other thing I ever saw him drink was really high-end wines.
Bud or that. Good day.
So, Robbie, talk to me a little bit about the kind of music that that you really, obviously. Gary, you want to hand it back in?
Pass them back.
I think Paul's going to kill yours if you don't want it.
Yeah, no, we
our
drink the whole
singing
time.
wench is going to pick up. Yeah, she's
we have,
very good at doing
we have
that.
two more where that came.
She served us, delicious August moon food for the Lunar New Year celebration of the Asia Institute Crane House. So she carries on her tradition of supplying food and beverages to all of the Take It From Tara guests. Thank you. And Caroline's responsible for you guys being here today, so I really appreciate her. Everything she does is just meticulous, and we appreciate that. Talk to us about the kind of music that you're going to be singing at this wonderful event, Taste of Corbett's, because it's all the stuff that people obviously love to hear you sing, but what in particular do you want to talk about?
I'm going to start out jazz.
Awesome.
Deano loves jazz.
Yes.
I love jazz. Who doesn't love jazz?
I love jazz.
And it just is soothing. It makes people just move around the room effortlessly, not worrying about anything, just hearing the music. Not necessarily just listening to my voice, it's just music.
Yep.
Just makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
Jazz music makes you comfortable. It does me anyway, right?
Yeah,
Don't be
absolutely.
Chef, really?
No doubt.
It makes you hungry and thirsty too.
That
does.
too.
So you feel like you're in that environment.
Exactly.
Those wonderful.
Yeah,
Exactly.
makes you have fun. And then as the evening progresses, things get picked up a little bit.
And I'll have to do, of course, Killing Me Softly.
Yes.
But probably older, old R&B.
I love it.
Nice.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Oh, really?
Why not?
What did you say?
Okay,
I
that's
just wanted to sing R-E-S-P-E-C-T, a little Aretha.
Oh wow, yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She kills it all.
Did y'all see that last night when they
kills
did the
it all.
tribute? Did
Yeah.
you see the
It was
tribute?
very
Yeah,
short.
yeah.
Was it
too
short?
short?
It was too short.
Yeah.
But think about it. I mean, all the women on the Grammys are spectacular.
Yeah.
But you can't give Aretha enough time.
They gave her very little time.
When she dies, we're going to have celebrations all over the city for music. We're going to all be singing her praises.
Not dying yet.
But she's not going anywhere soon.
Hold that thought.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But when I do,
You'll live forever, baby.
you know it.
But
Let's see his drinks.
Yes, exactly. Just keep pouring that ballot down her. We'll pickle her.
We got two more.
She'll just keep
There you
singing.
go. Pickle me.
Pickle me
Tickle
softly.
me softly. We thought the same thing. Tickle and pickle.
Yeah, that's not going to catch on.
No, probably not.
gonna
Probably
catch
not
on.
as good. So
Hashtag it right now.
So we've got John Ross is watching. Welcome, Vicki Petsy from the Kentuckiana Lyme Disease support group. We love that. Brad Leedy is watching us from Bridgehaven. He always checks in on me, make sure that I'm actually where I'm supposed to be doing a show. I could be out doing something else, but I'm here, Brad. He does performance in whatever it's called, performance improvement in our Bridgehaven Mental Health Services. So I think he's checking me out to see if he can give me suggestions as to how to improve my performance. If I drank, Brad, it would be through the use of balancing.
That's right.
Then I have to just improve their performance with that tonight.
We'll take it.
So, Chef, talk about some of the food that's going to be at this event, Taste of Corbett. It's coming up a week from Wednesday.
In speaking to the chefs participating, and because there's so many chefs participating,
60, right?
We're having 2 chefs per table. But
Wow.
nevertheless, we're all
Working on one dish.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
2 chefs working on
2
one
chefs,
dish.
one dish, yeah. Which has turned out handy. Some of
That's
the
a
chefs
great
coming
idea.
in, some of the chefs coming in to represent don't have kitchens in Louisville. Some of them don't have a current kitchen to work in. So
What are they going to bring their kitchen like Paul brings
yeah,
his
pretty
liquor?
close to it. Yeah, so we
Good
paired them
Lord.
up with another chef in town.
Oh, good.
But from what I'm understanding, people are trying to tribute something off a menu that they've worked with him with, or something of that nature. So the food should be Dean Corbett. It should be. And there should be a lot of his flavors. But we're also encouraging people to do whatever it is that they do. We're also going to have on the tables where our guests can add money to a little box, if you will, for their favorite chef or favorite dish. And that money will be given to the Corbett family that evening. So it'll be a tally of money in your little decanter or box on your table. But it'll
That's
also
a
go,
great
yeah,
idea.
yeah. So
I think one of the hardest images for me, seeing the photos of Dean's services, were his children. And I seem to remember that either one or all of them were in chef's
all of it.
Jackets.
It's a wonderful story.
Yeah, tell us that story, please.
Kimberly Thompson, who is the vice president of Universal Linen, when she heard that Dean passed, ordered the boys some chef coats.
Aww.
They didn't get in until the day of the funeral. She got them at like 6 in the morning. Woke up the person who does the embroidery. They did the embroidery for the boys, and she got it to the funeral right before the service started.
What a story!
You know, so the boys got to wear their little chef coats in honor of their dad. It was so special.
So beautiful.
Because they got to. It was like the lineup of chefs, because at the funeral there was a lineup
Yes.
of all the chefs in Louisville.
Yes.
I think there were 57 or 58 of them, I believe, weren't there? You know, just lined up as the casket went in. It was so touching. It was one of the most touching things I've ever seen.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So thank you to that wonderful linen lady.
Yes, the linen lady.
That's
Kimberly.
pretty spectacular. I love that. That's a great story. When you come into any restaurant that Dean Corbett has created or worked at or in any way was associated with, you get that feeling of home, you get that feeling of comfort. And you know, even mediocre restaurants, you just said about, you know, the whole idea of the hospitality, even mediocre restaurants get better reviews if people feel good when they go into them. Even average food can be made into something spectacular in the minds of the patrons if they're treated with a lot of respect and a lot and enthusiasm of, oh my gosh, it's so great to see you, you know, which is kind of what he was like all the time. He always had a ready smile, a bombastic personality in some regards, especially when he had his 14th Bud Light of the night.
Indeed.
14th
sip
half
at a
Bud
time.
Light.
14th and a half.
Sip, just a sip, just the 14 sips of the night. You had a long work relationship with him, Chef Sant, who is the executive chef of the Omni, as I like to say. He says of Bob's, but I'm going to just go ahead and give him credit for the whole hotel. Because he's so modest, he really is. But you had a long experience working with him. Tell me what it was like to be side by side with him in the kitchen, because not a lot of people can tell this story.
You know, there was a lot of things that Dean did which was, wow, I can't believe it was that simple to do something so well, and there wasn't that much layers behind it. It was just that simple. And then we would do things and experiment, and it was like, what just happened then? Oh my goodness.
It's a miracle.
Let's not tell anyone about it. It was, oh my goodness. But one of the most fun nights we had at Corbett's, he had a, if you will, it was a stainless steel box, and it has a marble top, and it got down to quite a few, I want to say like 100+ degrees below zero. And it didn't matter what you put on there, including alcohol, it would freeze. And it was really good to do as a amusé. When someone walked into the restaurant, you could do things to order and send them out to the guests there and then. Frozen little lollipops. So this one day
That's kind of cool.
He
Never heard of
turns
that.
this machine on, and it sits on the shelf, and I think I used to quiz him too much, so I think it was just to shut me up. He turned the damn thing on, and he just go get something. So I don't know what I wasn't pureeing that night, but it was going on this marble top, and we were turning lollipops out of everything, from pureed mango to alcohol to basil and anything, just whatever we could figure it out. Just don't put your tongue on it, for goodness sake.
Oh, Lord, no.
It was unbelievable what we put on the end of a stick and were able to eat. And it was just the silly things of that nature that stand out the most.
Where is that thing?
Yeah,
Do we have any idea?
I still believe at Corbett's. I believe so.
Bring it over for the
Yeah.
event and start
Heck
making
yeah.
some
Yeah.
bourbon
See what
ball
happens, yeah.
frozen
Wouldn't that be
lollipops or something.
It was also things that had nothing to do with the kitchen that stand out the most. I was driving down towards Westport Road to go to, he had a storage area, and he would sing the craziest songs I've ever heard in my life. Do you know this song? No, I don't know this song. Well, I'm going to sing it anyway for you. Sing away. Or we'd be out in Corbett's, and we'd both have backpack leaf blowers, and we'd intentionally blow each other's leaves onto the other one's side so they had more to pick up. It was just the silliest things, but you know, What an honor to know him.
That's friendship.
He must have really liked you if he blew leaves with you.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, whenever you saw Dean at Equus with a leaf blower, you knew never to talk to him because that was his moment of zen. That was where he concentrated, and nobody ever talked to him when he was blowing his leaves.
He not only shared a kitchen with him, he let him leaf blow with him. That's pretty cool.
I'm impressed.
That is really cool. I love that. So Gary, when you went to work with Chef Dean Corbett, about whom we are speaking at this very moment. Taste of Corbett's coming up a week from Wednesday, and today we're just talking about the event and all of the wonderful memories that these very close friends of Dean have. Caroline Knopp, Simply PR's behind the camera, but she's the one who pulled this together for us, which is great. Paul Toole of Ballatin, and the woman who needs no introduction, Robbie Bartlett, Songbird of Louisville, and Paul Sant, who is executive chef of Bob's at the Omni, and Gary Fox of Aprons. So we're very glad. And then Lisa, who is Paul's wife, is also visiting us today. She's holding up the cue cards, which was very nice. Just make sure that we stay on cue. Let's see. Arthur Miller says, great show. Good. That means you guys are doing well.
Thank you,
Yo-Yo
Arthur.
Shelley Santry is watching. Matthew Glazer, Kathy Schmidt, Brenda Davidson, Debbie DeVore, one of our finest musicians in town as well. So we appreciate you guys being with us today. We're talking about this amazing event that's going to take place a week from Wednesday, and let's get into the details of the actual event. First of all, can people still attend, or have we sold out?
We have probably, what, about 125 tickets left?
125 tickets
something
left.
like that.
Maybe a little less, but yes.
Yeah.
Tickets are still available.
And the Olmsted has a huge capacity. So I mean, we.
And they're
And there's a
tented.
tent.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
and
the
they're
outside as
tented.
well. Yeah.
So we have
Awesome.
the front area tented with the band, and Robbie's inside right when you walk in.
We need you to
The
be on
bar
camera.
outside.
We need you to be on camera to tell us all this stuff.
Well, there's just a lot going on. I mean, if you've ever been to the Taste of Independence, that's a really great event that benefits Apron that takes place in the summertime. And this is somewhat similar, but except for there's 60 chefs, 62 chefs, and they're going to be paired, as Paul said, in preparing one dish per team. And whether it's pertaining to Dean or it's not, relating to Dean, have a Deano theme like nachos or what have you. But outside you'll come in and it's all tented. There'll be a band outside, a bar, and a few of the chefs outside as well. You come in, there's a coat check, and then bar on either side. Some auctions, maybe like 2 or 3, not very many auction prizes, and then there's a live auction. And that's 10 different chefs that will be having, I guess, a course each.
A course each for 12 people. And there'll be some stipulations, you know, certainly we're not going to be doing it on a Derby week or whatever, but there'll be some stipulations on it, but it'll be certainly to the advantage of the customer, not to the advantage of the restaurant.
Right.
But there's the chefs participating on the evening, I mean, are the biggest name chefs in Louisville.
Right.
They really are.
Yeah.
And it didn't take much to convince these chefs to participate. It wasn't.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and even some of the chefs that are from day one when Deano started in Louisville are coming in to work
Wow,
that night.
yeah.
So I mean, I was just speaking to Chef Dominic from Ditto's, and he was saying that he has got a pasta that he got from California just to use on this event.
Wow.
Great.
A pasta from California.
Yeah, because it was something that Deano and he used together, and the only place he could source it from was California.
Wow.
I love that.
That's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. So you
Yeah.
have to forgive us, guys. We had a little blackout, and sometimes that happens when it's raining, and sometimes it just happens here. This place is very odd when it comes to Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
be prepared if you're planning on live casting anytime soon at the Olmsted. But anyway, you can stay, Caroline, if you want, or you can go. Whatever makes you. Are you good?
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. I
If
love
you all
having
need me,
you.
just call.
We'll just holler.
know
All
where to
you
find
have
you.
to do is call. And I'll sing it, Robbie.
Caroline's got it. You got a friend.
Oh, love it. Love having these people in the same space that I do. We'll all join in for the last song. Think of one song that we all know, and we'll join in for the last bit.
Goodness gracious me.
Okay, so Gary, do you
End of the show
sing?
quickly.
Do you sing, Gary?
I have in the past.
Do you like to sing?
I love to sing.
Okay, well, you can't hang out with us unless you like to sing.
Oh, I
So,
love to
you know,
sing.
that's just the rule.
We're the cool kids.
We're the cool kids. We like to sing. he is an actor-singer. I know he's a very fine
exactly.
actor.
Right.
I wouldn't say fine. But
I would. I think it's fine.
Serviceable.
that far.
Serviceable.
Now, Gary, people of size have wonderful roles in all kinds of acting, and we have to have people of different
indeed.
sizes, or it would be a boring world.
Indeed.
I think you are an imposing figure and a handsome man,
Well,
and always attired,
Agreed.
nattily attired.
I love you all.
We love you too. We love you too. And here we go back to the same thing that Caroline was just saying. Love people while you are with them, because you
Absolutely.
never know when you're going to walk out the front door and, you know, not come back in the front door.
Exactly.
So you've got to think about that every minute of every day. And it's like, you know, I'm that way with my dogs. I mean, that sounds ridiculous when you're comparing, but they're my children.
Exactly.
And, you know, and every time I leave, I give them kisses and tell them I love them. And, you know, because they're from 10 and a half to 13 and a half. Who knows?
Right.
You know, so you want to make sure that they know. So when we come back to you, Mr. Ballatin,
Yeah.
what kind of, how do you figure out which of the many options in Ballatin go with what foods? Give us a little tutorial, if you will.
Yeah, well, I mean, food pairing, I think food pairing with spirits can be a little bit of a challenge. I think with wine and with beer even, just because you have more flexibility in that wine and beer in terms of the proof and everything. I mean, I don't know, Paul, if you'd agree with that, but I think you know, I think it's trendy and popular, and people want to pair food and wine. I think it's a challenge with, I mean, spirits and cuisine. I think it can be a little bit of a challenge. Ballatin lets us off the hook a little bit because there is a lot of flavor in Ballatin, so that helps guide us.
Well, let's say it smells delicious.
Yeah,
I don't know whether
well,
that's what you mixed or
You
whether
might be
it's something
smelling
else.
that
But
orange,
there's,
you know, that
it
orange
smells
Cointreau smells good,
wonderful.
but the Ballatin smells great too. You know, I think the natural tendency is to think about desserts and things because, you know, there's some sweetness and a lot of flavor in the Ballatin. So we've done some savory stuff, and Dean did some really nice work with Ballatin at this dinner we had at Mesa, the collaborative kitchen.
Oh, yeah,
over there in
talk to us
Albany.
about those drink mixes. That was pretty cool.
That was fun. So Dean did the food, and I did the drink pairings, and that was really great. I know Paul mentioned that you know, sometimes in the kitchen it doesn't look like there's a lot happening, and then, you know, the plate hits the counter in front of you, and then you're like, holy shit, that is really amazing.
Oh,
right?
Paul,
Can
you
we say
dropped
that?
the word.
Yeah, we can do that.
It's fine.
What
It's
if I
not-
sing it?
It's not
What if I
broadcast.
sing it?
Sing it.
Does that make a difference?
Yes,
If I
sing it. Can you
Okay.
think of a song that would work with that word?
No, let's not make a bad situation. But,
We normally would not even
So-
call attention to that.
no, we wouldn't, but it's us.
I had somebody drop the F-bomb.
Oh, no, see, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't do
I-
that.
well, dare me.
okay.
Double dog dare
Well,
me.
you know, now we were talking about this person before. A chocolatier in town calls stuff that is
Oh,
shit chocolate.
oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what she
I
calls
can
it.
imagine. I can imagine who
Yeah.
that is.
I won't mention
So,
any names.
yeah, so Chef Dean, he does a shrimp Jenkins, which is kind of a classic dish of his, and he did use the Ballatin bourbon ball in that, and it was terrific. So we had a group of 24 folks or whatever, and just super. He did a little stuff with a brisket. You know, you can sort of savory Ballatin up a little bit. And we did a nice, like a grilled peach Manhattan with a brisket that he had done, so that was fun. And,
Man, that sounds delicious.
yeah, and then we did a bourbon ball drink with the shrimp Jenkins. So that was a lot of fun. What I was going to say about, you know, we're talking about this whole notion of hospitality and love. You know, we're talking about love a lot, which
Because
is
it's close to Valentine's
I know
Day.
it is.
That's
yeah.
why.
So let's not make it uncomfortable.
Ballatin love.
But I think Dean, he was such a great storyteller, right? So I mean, he was on behind the kitchen there for 2 hours, you know, cooking, but also storytelling, which was the most powerful part. And you can't tell all those stories unless you really invest yourself in what's going on every day in your life, right? You can't just skim along and then come away with these really rich, funny, touching, warm, you know, profound, silly stories. I mean, you got to get in there and live it, and that's what he did. I mean, he was like, and that's why, you know, just, you know, he never met a stranger. He always had a hug for you. So, I mean, he was, you know, he was getting in there, getting his fingernails dirty, you know, doing this thing, right? And that's how, I think that's why he had such great stories. He could talk all night long just because, you know, he had invested himself in, you know, every single time he's with somebody, you know, he's in it. He's in it.
And that's why this is going to be a fantastic tribute to the Taste
Yeah,
of Corbett's.
yeah.
I want to get to another really important topic, and that is why Gary Fox is a huge part of this conversation. You're in charge of Apron, so explain to those who have not heard of it what Apron is and what you do, and then let's talk about how it's going to be folded into this wonderful tribute to Dean Corbett.
Sure. Apron is a not-for-profit, local not-for-profit here in Louisville. We help out independent restaurant workers in times of dire financial need, when they find themselves absolutely unable to pay their bills through no fault of their own. They can apply to us, and we can pay some rent, pay car payments, pay whatever it is they need. So many people in the restaurant business are, the people aren't marginal, but they're sort of in a marginal part of their life. They might be students, they might be recently divorced, something like that. They don't have a whole lot of resources to fall back on. And when they find themselves, if they get sick and they're out of work and they live tip to tip, or the hostesses don't make much money if they
don't have
fall
insurance
sick.
typically.
And unfortunately, restaurants are such small businesses that they don't provide insurance. So that's where we come in. The people can apply to us, and if they meet our criteria, we help them out. In the past 7 years, we've given out well over $200,000 to these people, and I feel like we're doing really good work. Last year, during the flooding, right about this time last year, we were able to pay rent for 37 families.
Wow, that's amazing.
That were whose restaurants had to close because of.
So we're talking about like probably Captain's Quarters, River House, Kingfish.
Exactly, those restaurants.
Yeah.
Exactly.
God, last year during the flood, I saw John Veronese down there in a longboat.
Yep.
Getting groceries and food out of the River restaurant, bringing it back up to the Frankfurt Avenue restaurant.
Right.
You know, and I had no idea. And there was an announcement on Facebook, I think it was Saturday night, that said, come to the bar, Captain's Quarters. We have a limited menu because we're going to close.
Right.
The river's up, you know,
Right.
and so they were taking, and they said it'll give us less to move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But think about all those people who work there being forced out by the wiles of the Ohio,
and,
you know?
and Andrew Masterson said the people that cleaned up the restaurant were the people that worked in the restaurant.
Right.
I mean,
That's
you know,
right.
they came back.
That's the very good thing about Captain's Quarters is they're so used to it that they pay their.
God, I was thinking about what a disgusting mess that must be to clean. Get the fire hoses out, Fern.
Exactly.
Get on over here with a shovel, sweetheart, and get this mess cleaned up.
We've been, pretty involved with Apron Inc. And the thing I always think about is how proud we are of the restaurant community here in Louisville. I mean, we're hitting the top 10 list, and Garden and Gun and Travel and Leisure and all that stuff, and bourbon tourism and all that, and how the restaurants and the culinary scene is so connected to that. You can't really have all that bourbon tourism and an influx of tourists and everything if you can't feed them, and wine and all that stuff. But we have these fantastic celebrity chefs in town. Paul's one, and we have these other chefs in town. That's the tip of the iceberg. And if we don't have a supportive community that helps the bus boys and the dishwashers and the people in the front of the house and everything, let this be a viable, employment for them, we won't have those fine restaurants. So it's not just about the marquee dishes and the celebrity chefs, but I mean, it's all the way through the line. And Apron Inc. is one of the organizations that helps facilitate that, builds a little infrastructure around people's lives if they have trouble, and that's one of the things that makes us a great restaurant community. And we'll all be sorry if we can't sustain and maintain that, right? I mean, we're so proud of that, and it's such a vibrant part of the community, and it takes people to manage that. It takes people to keep that going. So,
well, and for
good
sheer
work.
entertainment value at the event, Taste of Corbett's a week from Wednesday. Tim Laird and Kevin Harned from Secrets of Louisville chef. Kevin, of course, the preeminent meteorologist, and Tim, the preeminent, whatever
He's
he
the
is.
CEO,
Chief
the
mixologist.
Chief Entertainment Officer.
Chief
Exactly.
Entertainment Officer.
CEO at
That's
Brown
right.
Forman.
He's awesome too.
Who would have thought that?
You ever have an arm wrestling contest with Tim Laird over mixing drinks?
No.
Okay.
There's no contest I want to win or lose against Tim Laird. But
So
no,
they're going to be emceeing
yes,
the event.
yes,
It should be a lot of
he's
fun,
terrific.
and there will be a whole lot of activity. And you still can get tickets, which is the good news. There may be 100-something few left, and those can be obtained both online. And can you get them the night of the? You think you should take a chance on walking in the night of? No,
I don't think.
unless you want to go to the Gawkers parking lot. In which case, you could just stand outside and watch the beautiful people
From a distance.
You know, from a distance. Yeah,
You could just
will
hear
be,
the faint refrain.
It'll be like
Robbie Bartlett singing.
It'll be like the Barnstable party. I was just going to say that, where you have to stand down on Spring Drive and watch
Right.
all the beautiful people.
And look
come
like
out.
you belong. Yeah.
Robbie Bartlett will walk to the door and sing a little bit for you,
tease you every
so you
now
can hear him. The chef will walk out with food and just kind of show it to all of you poor,
Yeah.
Poor people who
See what
didn't get
you're
your
not getting?
tickets.
If you had a ticket,
You poor people who didn't get your tickets. So, so that would be a good thing to do, is to get those tickets fairly quickly. Want to say hi to some of our friends who are tuning in. Tracy says, I'm going with Tara. Well, I haven't gotten a ticket yet, so you're kind of out of luck on that one. Don Birch of Quest Out. Yeah, Don Birch of Quest Outdoors. Amber Clark from the main event is watching. Eric Cooper, Bill Venman, Linda Hillenbrand. Thank you so much for watching. Warren Nash, Tessa Banta, June Kelly Roy, one of our buddies,
Yes.
one of our musician friends. Sorry about that break there, guys. I'm going to edit the two pieces together so that when you share later, you can share the entire program. We do have a couple Wi-Fi blackouts occasionally in places like this beautiful location here at the Olmsted. And if you haven't been here yet, you should really come here. This is a beautiful venue.
That gives you license to like edit out all my stuff.
I would never edit you out of anything. You're my favorite.
Just saying.
You're my favorite guy. I love it when you come in. For
You like leave yourself that little out.
For
I'm going to
someone,
edit the
for
break.
someone who doesn't drink, I adore you, and all you ever talk about is alcohol.
Where's Paul Toole?
Every single show Caroline sets
Yeah.
up, I'm like, okay, is it going to be about balloting again? But this is the first time I've seen you in a while. So
It
I'm
has
so
been a
glad
while.
you're
I know,
here.
thank you. I love being here.
Thank you for taking the time to come in.
yeah,
So we've got a few minutes to kind of just wrap up, and I just kind of want to go down the line, and I'm going to start with the youngest friend of Dean's to the oldest friend of Dean's in this order. We'll go here, here,
How long we've been friends?
here, here. How many years did you have in the process?
10.
Okay, we're just going to go boom, 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 and then Caroline, who can share. Fond memory. Paul Toole.
Yeah, it had to be at that dinner where Chef Dean and Finbar, do you know?
Yeah,
Finbar,
Finbar
yes.
Kinsella.
he's my partner at the dinner.
Is
Yeah,
he?
good.
Oh, Finbar's your
Chef
partner.
at St. Joseph's
Yeah.
His wife is
Orphanage.
watching.
Kathy
that
Schmidt-
right?
Kathy Schmidt's tuned in.
Okay, that's great.
Yep, Finbar Kinsella.
just the easy rapport and the way that those guys were having fun together. It was, helping us all to have fun there. They cooked great together. Dean had his Bud Light stashed in the fridge. So anyway, just the way that he and Finbar, sort of managed that kitchen and that event, the stories, and it was obvious they were good, close friends. That was just a really warm night for all of us. But watching he and Finbar do their thing was terrific.
I got to tell you that Finbar is one of the best karaokeers I've ever
Really?
seen. He almost won the Money for the Bunny karaoke contest.
Wow.
It's held at the Hub, the Hub, right before Easter, and actually the money that we raise there helps with the Easter parade expenses, because that's a community expense,
Sure,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
Finbar Kinsella, come back, bring your people, bring your support network, all the people who'll pay to hear you sing.
What's his go-to karaoke
He's an Irish
song?
tenor.
Yeah.
Very inebriated Irish tenor at one point during the song last year. That's what made him great.
Come on, Eileen. I don't know
Yeah,
what's
I
his
don't even
go.
know. I
Yeah,
can't
we
remember
don't
what he
know.
sang, but
Right.
I mean, there were so many people singing at that thing. He's awesome. He's awesome. Everybody had a great time. Robbie, fond memory of Dean.
I was finishing singing on the patio at Corbett's, and I'm loading up my cart to roll it to my car, and I turn around, put my coat on, or whatever I was doing. My cart is gone. Dean took my cart to the car. I said, "Come on, girl, we gotta pack this up. Come on." I said, "I didn't know you had my car." I said, "I can do it. I can." open, well, what side you put this in? I mean, he was just, he helped me, he would help me set up if he was there. But most of the time it was when I was packing out. He grabbed the car. I said, I'm not done, wait.
He
But
stole
wanted to
Mrs.
help
Smith's
me.
wheelchair to help you pull your stuff out. But gave her an extra dessert while he helped you to the car. And he took her out. That's a great memory.
Yeah.
That's the gentlemanliness of the man, as well as just the, you know, the proactivity, which is all part of hospitality, is anticipating the needs of the people that you are serving in whatever capacity, and then going on. Chef Paul Sant.
One that stands out, at a hotel near the airport that I worked at, Deano and a couple of other people had started a small company, and one of their major items that they were selling was a Weissenberger grit, which was a local product, and unannounced, and certainly he didn't need an invitation, but he walked in the kitchen, and I was on one end of the kitchen, and he certainly announced himself from that end of the kitchen. Hey, Paul! Oh my goodness. Yeah. So after he had walked over, and big hugs and lots of loud talks, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to buy this stuff because here's the price, and you can't get any better, on and on and on. As he was leaving, and it was a personal conversation, but a business conversation, as he was leaving, the associates were in awe. That was Deano. Yeah. No, that was Chef Dean Corbett, and it was a celebrity, and it was just the people that didn't know him wanted to know him. The people that didn't know him knew he was a bigger than image and life. But yeah, after he had left, multiple associates walked over and said, "That was Dean Corbett, wasn't it?" Yeah, it was. It was
lovely?
Dean Corbett. Yeah. So even if they didn't know him, the people that didn't know him knew of him and knew certainly his persona. It was big. It really was.
Gary Fox.
One of my favorite stories about Dean is we were going to a food festival in Massachusetts, the Tanglewood Food Festival, and it was a 12-hour drive. And he had rented this big, huge van, and we had a couple young gentlemen with us that were driving, so we didn't have to. And he wanted to show off Kentucky there in Massachusetts, so we had lots of charcuterie that Corbett's had made. We had lots of charcuterie also from the Red Hog. We had Kentucky cheese. We had just tons and tons of food that he was going to do things with at this food festival. Well, we had to stop. It's a 12-hour drive, so it's a long drive. But we stopped for gas somewhere in who knows where, maybe northern New York or something. And we get out of the car, and Dean starts talking to all the people at the rest stop, and they find out what he's doing, and all of a sudden, the doors of the van come open, we pull out the coolers, and there's a party in the parking lot.
All Bud Light came out of the cooler.
There was Bud Light involved.
That's
there was
hysterical. I love it.
There must have been 20 people just sort of gathered around for half an hour eating.
Party wherever he was.
Exactly. You know, how can you beat that?
Yeah.
You know?
Come here, CK. Why don't you sit there, Mr.
Yes,
Toole?
ma'am.
With Dean,
Favorite memories?
simple moments. Just hanging out at Equus on Tuesday nights with Donna and Ellen. And I think the biggest treat was I'm in this band called Happy Hour, and Dean came this past summer. We only play twice a year. And he introduced me. He introduced the band, and he did it as if he was Ed Sullivan.
Of course.
And it was the most amazing introduction I've ever had. And that was pretty special. So we love Dean.
Okay, so some good memories are flooding across here as well, which I think is pretty funny. Debbie Hossman, thanks for watching. Tracy Sproul says, Dean was my favorite patient at work. Oh. Is this a HIPAA violation to say that she's a dental hygienist? So she kept his teeth clean and probably got a lot of laughs in the process too. And Martha Bloom, thanks for watching us too. You guys, it's time to go. I hate to say it because it's been so much fun.
I hate to hear it.
I'm so glad we had this time together.
Just
Sing it, Chef. Just to have a laugh or sing a song.
Or sing a song.
Seems it
just when it started, and before you know it,
Comes a time we have to say So long.
Good night,
So long.
everybody.
That's right.